And we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the fourth part of the show, we will talk about the latest on Trevor Lawrence's contract negotiations. So he's one of the quarterbacks that's going to be getting a new deal at some point. Right now, him and the Jaguars are in talks for a new contract. And there's one NFL office executive that expects his average annual salary, his AAV, to be between Jared Goff's $53 million and Joe Burrow's $55 million. And Goff obviously signed a deal recently, 4 years, $212 million with the Lions, including a $78 million signing bonus spread out over 5 seasons. The Jaguars aim to finalize Lawrence's deal before their season opener on September 8th. And yeah, now when it comes to that, I think he should be paid less than Joe Burrow, but I also think he should be paid less than Jared Goff as well, because Jared Goff, I think, has been better over the course of these last couple of seasons. But I think Trevor Lawrence still should get paid a ton of money. But there is a debate, though, on Trevor Lawrence because he hasn't really lived up to all the hype. And I just feel like last year, you had injuries, and that definitely played a role in it because he played hurt against the Browns and he threw 3 picks. Also, I think he threw a couple of picks in the finale against the Titans as well. Actually, yeah, because let's go towards the end of the year. So, yeah, he threw 2 picks against the Titans. The week before that against the Bucks, he threw 2 picks. He had none against the Ravens. He threw 3 against the Browns. So, yeah, in his last 4 games, he threw, excluding the Ravens game, but, yeah, he threw a combined 7 picks. And the Jaguars lost their last 5 games. And I thought after the Texans win, and that was towards the end of November, I thought the division was locked up. I thought the Jaguars had it. And then Trevor Lawrence gets hurt. They lose that tough overtime game against Cincinnati, against Jake Browning and the Cincinnati Bengals. Then you lose against the Browns. Lose against the Ravens. You get destroyed by the Bucks. And then you lose that tough game against the Titans. And then you miss out on the playoffs. I think the Jags are going to bounce back. I do believe that. But when you look at Trevor Lawrence's stats, he finished the year with 21 touchdowns and 14 interceptions. He had over 4,000 yards passing. But the year before that, had 4,100 yards passing, 25 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. That's the Trevor Lawrence that we want to see. Want to see more of that. Maybe he could throw 30-plus touchdowns. And I know I did say Trevor Lawrence has kind of been maybe a little bit disappointing, but you can kind of throw his rookie year out the window because Urban Meyer was just awful as the head coach. But I think last year did have a lot to do with him getting hurt. So I think Trevor Lawrence will bounce back. Like I said, I think the Jags will bounce back. And they're going to be one of those teams that's going to be in the mix to make the playoffs. Now, I think it's a little different now because they're not the favorites to win the division. The Houston Texans are. And they're going to have to compete with them to take the division back. I don't know if they're going to be able to, but it should be we're going to have a pair of interesting matchups when they go up against each other. So, actually, what's interesting is Trevor Lawrence leads the NFL in turnovers since 2021, which I did not realize that. Josh Allen is the only player with more than 50 turnovers in the same period, but has accounted for 128 touchdowns compared to Trevor Lawrence's 69. Trevor Lawrence has turned the ball over a lot. Yeah, they went 3-6 post a Week 9 bye last year. And Jaguars front office has been criticized for not fully capitalizing on Lawrence's talent, including, like I said, the failed Urban Meyer coaching era and the inability to secure a reliable number one receiver. Yeah, I mean, they did play well in 2022. They made the playoffs, and they actually started off the year slow and finished the regular season strong. They won the playoff game against the Chargers. Like I said, they lost a tough game to the Chiefs, but they gave Christian Kirk a lot of money, and I remember doing a podcast with my friend, and we were both like, why would they give him that much money? Christian Kirk actually had a solid 2022 season. But do we look at Christian Kirk as a number one wide receiver? I don't think so. But still, he's a productive receiver for them. They also did bring in Evan Ingram, who's been solid for them. Travis Etienne, after missing his rookie season, the last couple of years he's been solid. So you got that. They brought in Gabe Davis. They also drafted Brian Thomas Jr., so they're hoping he could be that number one wide receiver. So, I mean, I know they haven't surrounded him. Well, I know they didn't give him like a number one wide receiver, but I think the talent that they have has been okay for him. But, yeah, I mean, you want to give him a number one wide receiver. Maybe Brian Thomas Jr. is that. They're hoping that he's going to be that. So, I don't know. We'll have to see. But, yeah, I mean, if you look at, you compare their receiving core to the Texans' receiving core, it's not really a contest. You take the Texans. I mean, that's what you want to surround your quarterback with. But, now, like I said, I think the Jaguars' receiving core it's okay. I think they'll get the job done. But, no, I understand that, early on in his career, I mean, Trevor Lawrence really didn't have that. But, they went out and they got Christian Kirk and, Zay Jones. He's not on the team anymore, but he was serviceable for them. Like I said, Evan Ingram really, developed into a star for them. After, the rough years with the Giants. Travis Etienne, they got to rely on Travis Etienne more, too. Because I think he got off to that good start, and then I guess I don't know. I have to go back and look at his stats, but, he wasn't as productive as he was in the first half of the year. I don't know. The Jags offense was kind of, up and down all year. But we'll see how they are this year. Because if they're not good again, well, Doug Peterson's going to be out. The general manager, Trent Baalke's probably going to be out. So, yeah, this is a big year for them. So they got to go out there and try to take back that division, which is going to be really tough because the Texans are not going away. And on top of that, you got the Colts. They just missed out on the playoffs last year. Anthony Richardson's coming back. And, the Titans. There's a lot of people that don't think the Titans are going to be good. I mean, I don't think they're going to be good, but I don't think they're necessarily going to be bad. But we'll see. So, yeah, the division's going to be tougher. So, we'll have to see. And, yeah, we're just waiting on Trevor Lawrence getting a new deal. And maybe maybe he goes out there and has his best season. Yeah, because I agree. I don't think we've seen the best of Trevor Lawrence just yet. Last year, like I said, you had injuries and inconsistencies on offense. Let's see how it is this year. I think he is the guy for Jacksonville. I know, listen, he was really good in college. And we're hoping that we see that version now translate to the NFL. And I think at times we've seen it, but now we want to see that consistency now. And plays in a tough conference. There are some really good quarterbacks, not just in his division, but in his conference. And I want to see him, go out there and beat some of these better quarterbacks. Now, I know they beat Josh Allen in London last year, but, finally get over the hump and beat Patrick Mahomes. Because he hasn't beaten Patrick Mahomes yet. I think he's 0-3 against him combined. between the regular season and the playoffs. You know, I mean, those are the guys you're going to have to beat. And he did split with C.J. Stroud last year, but now C.J. Stroud has a better team. So, we'll see. But, yeah, I think Trevor Lawrence deserves to get paid. But like I said, I mean, obviously you're going to see guys get paid more than other players, and that shouldn't be the case, but that's just how it is. So, like I said, seems like it's going to be somewhere between Joe Burrow's contract and Jared Goff's contract. So, we'll have to wait and see. But that's just another player that is working towards getting a new deal done. And whenever that happens, we will talk about it on the show here. So, we're going to take our final break of the show now. Let me know what you guys think about what we talked about with the Jags. How do you see Trevor Lawrence doing in 2024? How do you see the Jags doing in 2024? So we're going to take our final break. When we come back, we'll talk about possible role for Justin Fields in the Steelers' offense. So we will get into that when we come back from our final break of the show. So with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.